I'm going to talk to you about 5 common mistakes that women often make in perimenopause. And leading up leading up to this discussion, these are things that we often see in practice, and these are things that I personally have made these mistakes as well. And it's just realizing that at this point of your life, your body is not the same as it was in your 20s. It's not the same it was in your early 30s. And the habits, the routines, the things that worked for us in the past often aren't the things that are going to benefit us moving forward as well. And so having an understanding of what's going on with your body and what adjustments need to be made over time is really helpful to be able to function properly and to not have all the symptoms. Something that I often share is that the women who have the best transition, so from the perimenopause phase of life into the menopause phase of life, are the women who are managing stress the best. So, stress is definitely one that's going to be talked about now, but stress is not regarded a lot of the times in all the different ways that we face it and that we deal with it. And so stress can be a stressful situation at work, stressful times at your job, stressful email from your boss that's stressing you out. It could be family stuff if you have kids, it could be aging parents, it could be an argument with your spouse. But we don't think about the stresses that we put on our bodies as well. If you're making changes to your diet, because a lot of the times one of the symptoms that we see through perimenopause is women have a more difficult time with losing weight and with keeping it off. And a lot of the times women will have weight gain around this phase of life that's really hard to get rid of. And I'm getting a phone call. Sorry, a friend just called me. So a lot of the times women will have issues with some weight gain around this phase of life. And where the weight gain typically happens is through the midsection, so around your waistline. And this is because there's a lot of cortisol hormone or receptors, which is our stress hormone, that are in this area of our body. So if you're dealing with weight gain around your midsection, stress is a really big part of that. But another really big thing to consider here is that if you have an imbalance in your gut bacteria, if your gut is not healthy, this is going to lead to weight gain as well. Your body's going to be packing things on because things aren't able to function properly if there's an imbalance in your gut bacteria. So, before I started doing this live, I was trying to decide what to talk about today. And these are 5 things that we often see. So, I felt like this was a good one to share with you. And so, the 5 common mistakes that women often make through perimenopause, and all 5 of these actually apply to a lot of other people as well, definitely to all women. But this can apply in any situation where you're dealing with symptoms or things are coming up with your health. These are things that we want to take a look at and make sure that they're dialed in. Because if you're not paying attention to these things, you're going to have problems. And so the first one is ignoring nutrient needs. If you are not eating well, the body's not going to function well. And so this is things like not eating the junk food and not eating the processed foods because your body doesn't know what to do with those a lot of the time. So if you're eating a lot of processed and packaged foods and through this phase of life that's not going to be beneficial for you, that alone is going to cause a stress on the body. And it's also going to cause nutrient deficiencies in your system, which is not going to help you. Women also in this phase, we need to make sure that we're getting the things to be able to support our bone health. Because this is a time as your hormones are fluctuating and as things are changing through this phase, this is a time where maintaining bone strength is really important. Osteopenia and osteoporosis are commonly things that can come up throughout this phase of life. And it does have to do with estrogen, but also we need to make sure we're giving the body what it needs to support the bones. Working out is a really good benefit for bone strength as well, because if you can put some muscle onto your body, more muscle is going to lead to stronger bones as well. But we want to make sure there's kind of a counterbalance there. We want to make sure if you are working out that you're not overdoing it in terms of workout. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing muscle. So, strength training is really beneficial. HIIT training, so high intensity interval training, are really beneficial things through this phase of life. And a lot of running is actually going to be depleting for a lot of people because it is causing more stress on the body. It is making your body take nutrients from other areas. And if the body's not getting the right nutrients, so this number one, ignoring nutrient needs, if your body's not getting the nutrients that it needs from your diet and from the things that you're eating, it's going to take them from other parts of your body. This is why a lot of the times for women, especially later in life, so in menopause, you may go for blood work and the blood work may show everything's perfect because the body will prioritize the blood. Because if you don't have strong, healthy blood, your heart is going to suffer. And if your heart dead, you're dead. If your bones are depleted of nutrients and minerals, you're not dead. It sucks because that leads to the osteoporosis and the osteopenia, but the heart is the priority in the body. So we need to make sure that you're giving your body what it needs so that it doesn't have to steal it from your muscles, from your bones, from the other parts of your system that actually need those nutrients as well. So you want to make sure that you're getting really nutrient dense foods as much as possible. This is why the processed foods, the packaged foods, the high chemical load in these foods is not going to be good for your system, or lots of sugar or lots of alcohol. All of these things are not going to benefit you ever, but especially through this phase of life, because it's going to impact your hormones, which is going to cause a lot of the symptoms that happen in perimenopause. So, if that's a goal is to make your perimenopause as effortless as possible, these are things we need to pay attention to. Eating good quality food is a really good start here. And we also need to make sure number 2 is a simple one, it's, appropriate hydration. This is something a lot of the times that is a problem, and if you feel like, "I'm drinking tons of water, what's going on?" We need to make sure you're drinking clean water, first of all. Tap water is not good quality water. I'm sorry. I know City of Toronto or whatever city that you're in, may say we do all kinds of, filtration and testing to make sure that this water is really good quality, but there's a lot of stuff in city water and tap water in that we don't really want in our systems. So please, if you're drinking tap water, consider taking a look at another option for you. I mean, kind of the next okay step, I guess, is a Brita filter, a carbon-based filter. This is gonna give you better quality water than tap water. It's still not gonna filter out all of the things, but it's a step in the right direction. It's putting in some effort. In my opinion, distilled is the ultimate water that you can be drinking just because the filtration process by the city or by a Brita filter, if you've ever had a Brita filter, you're passing the water through the filter and it's filtering out the bad things as best as it can, and then the water comes out the other side. If you think of distilled water, you evaporate the water out of the chemicals, out of the sediment, out of all of the harmful things, and then the water reconstitutes, becomes water again somewhere else. So all of those things, you're not pushing them through a filter. They're actually the water's being removed from the issues. I explained that really wrong. But distilled water, in my opinion, is the best source to go to. And then if you're concerned about, because it does remove minerals as well, you can remineralize the water, which is pretty easy to do. Number 3, overlooking protein. This is something I look at a lot of food journals. That's part of my weekly routine, and a lot of the food journals I look at, like, yes, there's some snacking. Yes, there's some foods that aren't gonna be the most benefit for your health overall, but the biggest concern I have usually is you're not eating enough protein. If you're snacky, if you have cravings, if this is something that you deal with throughout the month or, before your period is a common one, if you're not eating enough protein, you're going to be more snacky. It is the most satiating nutrient that we have. And as I mentioned, a priority in this phase of life is making sure that we have strong bones. And to be able to have strong bones, putting on a bit of muscle is helpful, and you need protein to be able to do that. Protein is the building block of many things in the body structurally, and we need to make sure that we're getting enough of it. So make sure you're getting enough quality protein. Ideally, I recommend definitely at breakfast, start your day with protein. Most of the times when people have energy crashes throughout the day, it's typically after lunch. So start your day well. Start with protein and healthy fats in at breakfast and again at lunch. This will keep blood sugar more stable and regulated throughout the day, and you'll just feel better. You'll have better energy. You'll be less irritable and moody, and you're giving your body what it needs to function properly. Number 4 of the 5 is neglecting gut health. So hormone changes, as I said, can have an impact on digestion and gut health. And when you ignore your gut health, if you deal with bloating, this can be why. If you deal with constipation, This can be why. And then mood disturbances as well can be a gut health related issue. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to gut health here. So the things here, as I mentioned, sugar is not going to be beneficial for gut health because your gut has a population of bacteria in it. And if there's a not healthy gut microbiome, which is your bacteria population, this is what leads to the weight gain around the middle sometimes as well. It leads to inflammation, it leads to the constipation, it leads to all kinds of things, skin problems. All of these are regulated back to gut health, and 80 to 90%, I think it's 80 to 90, a large percentage of our immune system is based in our gut as well. So you want to make sure that you're prioritizing gut health. This is, things like fermented foods can be beneficial for you here as well, just because it's going to help with putting some healthy gut bacteria back into your system. But we want to make sure that we're not like crowding the system with the unhealthy stuff as well. So the sugar, the alcohol are all going to feed your unhealthy gut bacteria. So we want to make sure that we're prioritizing those things as well. And then excessive alcohol consumption. Number 5 of my 5 reasons why women or 5 mistakes that commonly women make through perimenopause that can lead to a rougher transition and a rougher phase. Okay, so wait, perimenopause, what do you know about that? I used to think that perimenopause was like, 1 to 2 years before you got into menopause, and I didn't have to worry about it until I was, like, in my 50s. But perimenopause can be 15 years of your life. So if you're dealing with issues with oh no, my sound is off. If you if you're dealing with issues in perimenopause, um, this is going to be make it for a much harder transition into menopause. And so number 5 through this phase of life is stress management. We need to make sure that you're paying attention to the stress and dealing with it. This can be doing things like yoga, this can be meditation, even deep breathing. I tell clients all the time, especially if you have a busy life or if you're at work, this is something that we need to pay attention to. Because stress management is gonna have such an impact on your body. If you're dealing with a lot of stress in your life, your body will prioritize making stress hormones versus making progesterone, which is an important hormone for regulating your cycle, your mood, for all kinds of different things in your body in terms of hormones. And so excessive stress, excessive high cortisol is not gonna benefit you through this phase of life. So, just a reminder, these are all just considerations. So, these 5 things. So, paying attention and making sure your diet is appropriate. So, making sure you're not ignoring nutrients, making sure you're getting enough water. Hydration is super important. Not overlooking protein intake, not neglecting gut health, and then making sure you prioritize making some time for stress management for yourself are all really good things to look at and will benefit everyone. But if you're dealing with perimenopause symptoms that you haven't been able to figure out and you haven't been able to get in check, this is an area where I can help you. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique, and your body is going to need different things than everyone else that you know. So, if this is something that you're dealing with, send me a message. We can connect and I do a free discovery call. We can talk about what's going on with you, what does your body need, and what's the next best steps to move forward to help work towards a better perimenopause and an optimal transition into menopause. So send me a DM if this is something you would like help with. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And again, this is Kate McDowell from Align Natural Health, helping you live well naturally.